All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today, for our active everyday workout, I want to discuss free-form movement patterns and take you through some of these ideas. Now, we already have a bit of this free-form patterning built into how we've already worked out together and what you may be receiving in some of your programming. But I want to just kind of expose the mindset, have a discussion about it as we go through it together. All right, so we'll do our normal warm-up. We'll start with our neck, trunk, and pelvis movements, the big circular movements, okay? And what's the idea with free-form movement? The idea is to take our body through patterns that we're gonna say are exercises, but may or may not have a specific name or may not have a specific foundation that you want to replicate across similar exercises. And that'll make sense in a moment. We'll relate that to a squat and a split squat or lunge. Okay. We've talked about foundations, and foundations are, ideas that you can see similar ideas across similar exercises. Those are our foundations. If I'm doing a leg exercise, there might be something from a previous leg exercise that I've done that I might be able to use to enhance my understanding or technique of the exercise. So that's what I mean by a foundation that you can transfer from one exercise to another. So that was our neck, our trunk, our pelvis tilts. And so inherently in our spine mobility warm-up and prep, that foundation of being able to flex, extend, side bend, and twist, that foundation for freedom of movement, you see replicated in other exercises. Pelvis tilts and turns and twists, we see replicated in other exercises. Okay, so there's our pelvis twist. All right, let me check one thing here. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, and so moving on. Okay, free-form exercise versus non-free-form exercise. Let's use a squat, for example. So we talked about if I was going to do a squat, a bench squat, a touch and go, whatever kind of squat. If I was going to squat, I would say feet are going to be generally shoulder width apart, generally slightly turned out, posture generally oriented upright as I sit down. So those are the foundations: foot position, posture position, things like that. If I was going to do like a split squat or lunge, very similar concepts. Posture kind of tall, right? Toe forward, pointed maybe slightly to the outside, but anyhow, very similar concepts. Okay, with a free form movement, we may now break out of some of our foundations. For an example, I may not need my posture to be completely rigid for everything I do in life. Like if I bend over to pick up a basket, for instance, if I keep my posture really upright like a squat, I might not be able to reach that basket. So I may need to actually squat and bend over a little bit, grab the basket and stand up. Or maybe I'm bending over to pick up a child. Or maybe I'm bending over to tie my shoes. Let me do the shoes next. If I'm gonna go down for my shoes, I may step back, put my knee on the floor, and then round down to tie my shoes. So we see that freedom of mobility and strength capabilities in my spine associated with my legs having to move. So that's the idea of transferring freeform movement capability into a structured foundational style pattern. And we can see the application for both in the exercise realm or then in the real life scenario with the shoe tying. So our freeform movements for today, we can do with shoes on or off. I'll start with my shoes on, then I'll take them off. The idea here is to two things: gain a sense of feeling our entire foot, and two, getting our weight distribution outside of our center of gravity. let's start our movement and I'll talk as we go through. I want to feel weight on the edges of my feet. So my feet are flat. I'm going to put a little bit of weight kind of toward my toes. I'm going to put a little bit of weight toward my heels. I'm just going to go back and forth toward my toes, toward my heels. It doesn't matter if I lift my heels or I don't lift my heels. It just matters that I can feel more weight toward my toes. It doesn't matter if I lift my toes or I don't lift my toes. I just need to feel more weight on my heels. Feel more weight towards the front, feel more weight towards the back. It also doesn't matter what my upper body looks like. I just need to feel on my feet. Weight distribution. Okay. I want to feel weight on the sides of my feet. On the sides of my feet. As far as I can shift maybe. Or, check this out, my feet are still flat. But I can still feel weight shifting on the sides of my feet. So whether you're able to tilt or not, or just shift, both are excellent. We want to try what we can try. Now I might want to combine all those. So maybe I go forward onto my toes, to the side, to the edges, to the back, to the side, to my toes. So now I'm kind of doing this kind of circular pattern. I'm just trying to feel those locations on my feet. Doesn't matter what I look like. As long as I can feel that weight on the edges of my feet. The sides, the backs, the fronts. Again, it doesn't matter if the foot stays flat or if the heels, toes, or if the feet actually lift, we can achieve the weight distribution. We've been going generally one direction. Let's change directions. Let's try feeling out the other way. All we're getting good at doing is tuning into what something feels like and then trying to get more of that feeling. Doesn't matter what we look like in this instance. Okay? So we're just taking a circular pattern, trying to feel the edges of our feet. Okay, excellent. That's the first freeform drill. The second detail I was talking about was taking our weight and moving it outside of our center of gravity. So for most of us, our center of gravity is going to be somewhere between like our belt line, where our like where the belt loops are on our clothes, and our belly button. Somewhere between that zone. It's a little different for men and women. Men's a little higher, women's a little lower. Just has to do with kind of where we carry more of our weight naturally across the weight distribution. So generally it's going to be about here. So if we know it's about here, however much weight we can move to the sides of our center of gravity, the more effect we may feel. So if this is where my center of gravity is, I already have a lot of weight above my center of gravity, all of my upper body. I have a lot of weight below my center of gravity, that's my legs. So this really is about learning how to get weight to the sides of our center of gravity and then how to control that weight. So feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. And if you think about this warm up, okay, we're trying to keep our hips still and lean. Okay, for the freeform drill, the hips don't have to be still. In fact, I want my hips to displace really, really far to the side as my head goes really, really far to the side. So I'm going to start pushing my hip over. I'm going to start leaning my head over. And then I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to think about how far I can push my hip. I'm going to think about how far I can lean my head. I'm just going to go back and forth. It does look a lot like that first drill we did when we were thinking about our feet. You can see how there's similarities in how we're moving. How fast you go, meaning faster or slower. Faster is not necessarily better. So if I'm moving faster than you feel like you can move, slow down. We want to reach the hip, reach the head. You can see how big my body's moving, how displaced of a shape I'm creating instead of this, which is our first drill we normally do for the middle spine. Let's do a couple more, hips and head. hips and head. 2 more. You can do whatever you want with your arms. Let's turn sideways, and now let's look at distribution front and back. So we have some exercises we kind of play with. A hinge exercise. Our butt goes back a bit, our head goes forward a little bit, which is really nice practice. Okay. Butt goes back, head goes forward. But if we want to extend that challenge, we need to add our arms reaching and add our legs reaching. So this version is going to look something like this. We're going to hinge down a little bit, and then we're going to have our arms and our legs ready to move. And we're going to move opposites, just like a bird dog exercise, okay? So I'm going to move my right leg back, my left arm forward. Then I'm going to move the opposite, my right arm and my left leg. And I'm just going to alternate. We'll go for 10 reps. Call that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You can see I've stayed bent forward the whole time. It's very tiring for these lower back and core muscles, the muscles that align right with our center of gravity. So let's start from the top. We'll do 1 more set of each as a review. And then as always, you can do more if you would like, or incorporate these movements into any other workout that you're already doing. We're just trying to find ways to expand our active everyday library of exercises. We're thinking about our feet. We're thinking about the backs, the sides, the fronts, the sides. Let's take one direction for 10 tries. That would be my 3rd and my 4th. I'm just trying to feel my feet, and my 5th and my 6th. Remember, you can pick up the edges of your feet if you're able. If you're unable, it's okay. There's still huge value in just the exercise and the feeling of trying to find the edges of the feet. After 10, let's change direction. Try 10 reps the other direction, feeling the edges of the feet. Again, exploring free form exercise. We talked about how going down to maybe pick something up or tie your shoes would be an example of where we need these different senses of weight distribution and movement in our spine. But there are countless other scenarios. Those are just 2 we highlighted today. 2 very basic ones. We felt the feet. Let's have side-to-side weight distribution. I want my hips to go and my head to lean. Let's do 10. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Big butt, big head. 6, 7, 8. Doesn't matter what happens with my feet. 9, 10. Doesn't matter what I look like. What matters is I'm thinking. How far can my hips go? How far can my head go? Hey, and we do that kind of hinged forward reaching exercise. I go right arm, I go left leg, reach, reach. 10 reps. That's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8, that's 9, and that's 10. Fantastic, y'all. Hey, that was 2 sets, everything we did for 10 reps. You can do 3 or 4 or 5 sets. Do more if you got time, do more if you like it, do more if it feels better. Stay active every day, we'll see you soon.